Alright guys, what's going on? Give me just a second. Going to test the sound quality and everything, make sure everything is good to go, and then we'll go live. Sound quality and everything, make sure everything is Alright, looks good to me. So let's go ahead and kick this off. My name is Creighton Piper, and I just want to bring you guys this live video to go over really two things. I'm going to go over some technical analysis, cover 6 of my favorite top movers for cryptocurrencies, or top volume movers anyways, and then we'll go into some news. Really, that's all we're going to do here. So without any further, actually, you know what? I would like to mention one more thing. So I think one of the last videos that I released was in reference to taxes as they apply to cryptocurrencies, and it really earned a very, very positive, overwhelmingly awesome response from you guys, and I want to say thank you for that first and foremost. But also, it sparked a little bit of discussion and a little bit of dissent in the comment section, and it caused me to do some research just to kind of backtrack and make sure that I was giving you guys the most accurate information possible. So in doing that, actually, what's the word I'm looking for? I interviewed a CPA who specializes in cryptocurrencies. His name is Patrick Camuso. Very, very intelligent guy, and he gave us a lot of information. So I actually compiled that into another video, and this is it right here. Cryptocurrency Taxation Part 2, 1031 Exchange. Now, I'm sure you've noticed, I'm sure you noticed that this video is not available in this channel, right? And the last couple of videos I've been letting you guys know that I'm going to start posting fewer videos in this channel because I'm trying to move all the content over here to the Crypto Answers branded channel. So if you guys have not already navigated to that, it's really easy to find. In YouTube, you can just search for Crypto Answers, and it'll pull it up. Then you go to the channel, you subscribe, and then you will be kept in the loop with all the new videos and all the live streams as we go ahead and pump those out. So we now have two videos on taxes. The first one was the definitive guide, and the second one was a follow-up specifically on the 1031 exchange. And if you guys have not already checked that out, I recommend it because it is valuable information. It covered the controversial part of the first tax video, and there's a lot of good information in there. So like I said, if you haven't already checked that out, I recommend you go ahead and do so. Then without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the technical analysis. By the way, I'm going to be monitoring the chat on my phone here to see if we have anything so far. We do not. If you have any questions or comments along the way, feel free to chime in, let me know what you think, or advise any questions you have, and I will do my best to answer them as we go here. So, like I said, I want to cover 6 different cryptocurrencies. They're some of the ones that trade in the highest volume, and ones that technical analysis applies to in like a straightforward manner. I'm going to start with the most bearish and move to the most bullish. So that's why we're starting with Litecoin here. As you can see, I already have a couple lines plotted on this graph here, and really we're right in the middle of a slow downward bearish channel. This started a couple weeks back, pretty much very end of September, and we've continued in this slow slump for 2 weeks. Now here we are on the 11th of October, right in the middle of that channel and still headed downwards. So really there has not been any excitement surrounding Litecoin, no news to boost the price there. And I've been following the price for, well, a little while because I do own some Litecoin. I expected that the price of Litecoin would trend right back up with Bitcoin, except it didn't, not even close. I mean, we're only, actually, you know what? I guess it did. Bitcoin's up about 60% from its recent low, and 60% of, yeah, actually it did trend up back with it. That's surprising. I think Litecoin, before the massive sell-off, Litecoin was just massively overbought. I think that was a problem. So now we've kind of found equilibrium here, and that's why there's not a whole lot of volatility in Litecoin. Like I said, we are in this slow bearish channel here, a downward channel, and really, this is one of my more bearish picks, at least for this live stream. And I'm definitely not going to be increasing my position in Litecoin anytime soon. I don't see much money being made there in the near future. Let's move on to number 2, and this is NEO. I do not have a position in NEO. I never have, but I have been continuing to watch it closely. So here we are coming off of the low. The low was about just over $13 here. Coming off the low, we saw a pretty intense uptick there. But what has happened is we actually formed a pretty obvious head and shoulders formation here, right? So typically, when that happens, there's a pretty strong pullback, maybe 50% or so. I started noticing that right about here, and then it continued down, and I thought, man, I call this, was spot on. This is awesome. I'm such a beast mode analyze. No, it's not really panning out that way. We pretty much finding equilibrium here at about $30, and it does not look like we're going to continue that downward trend. Now, this is my second most bearish pick for the live stream, so it could still continue downward. I would not be surprised if we did A, B, C, and can continue down towards, I want to say this will probably be the support, somewhere around here, $24. Again, pretty bearish on NEO right now in the short term. They're still feeling a little bit of the heat from China as the exchanges and ICOs are in a rocky spot right now. So near term, I don't really see much profit potential. I do see a lot of risk. So I'm going to be avoiding NEO in the near future. But also, anything I talk about here, make sure you do your own independent research and then formulate your own independent decisions. This is my take on the technical analysis that I have done, but I could be wrong. No investor is going to be 100% accurate. This is just my best take here. Let's move on to number 3, and this is Ripple. As you can see, there's been a lot of volatility in Ripple lately. And actually, you know what? I didn't even notice this before. But looking at it now, I'm kind of noticing a descending triangle here. Go ahead and draw this out so when I talk about it, it makes sense. All right, there we go. There's our descending triangle. Back in, what was this, May? May of this year, we saw our all-time high of almost 40 cents. And then we ticked down pretty steadily here before we got some really positive news from Korea here, right? Also, all throughout here, more and more people have been adopting. I actually have an article on this real quick. Let me go ahead and read the title here. Startup Ripple has over 100 clients as mainstream finance warms to blockchain. So their blockchain network, RippleNet, is growing. More and more banks are jumping on this, and it seems to be pretty promising. They do have a Swell convention coming up here fairly soon. It's going to be in October. I forget the exact date. I might try to find that for you here at the end of the stream, but for now I want to get back to the analysis as quickly as I can. But yeah, more and more banks are jumping on this, and it seems like XRP has a lot of potential to take off. But we're still in the middle of this descending triangle right here. So we are at the very tippity top of it right now. I think that's because there is some maybe some positive vibes coming from the Swell convention. It's going to be attended by some very powerful figures. One of the former Federal Reserve chairman is going to be there. His name is Ben Bernanke. I'm very curious to see what comes of this, so I'm going to be keeping my eye out for any headlines relating to Swell. But I think it'll be ready to break out here if any positive developments do come from that convention. Otherwise, we're going to be probably revisiting the very bottom of this descending triangle here. So I'd keep an eye on that. And then again, if more and more banks keep joining the Ripple network and there are more and more headlines, it's going to create more hype, and that might cause us to to abandon this downward trend as well, but we'll just have to see what happens. Now, let's go ahead and switch to something a little bit more bullish. This is the 10x Pay token, and I've been tracking this one forever. I've had this exact graph with the exact lines drawn for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and well, I guess not. Okay, so maybe 2 weeks. Anyways, so we were in a pretty steep bearish channel here, and we finally broke out. So it was right about here where I guess we officially broke out, just below the $2 mark, and now we're sitting at 225. So I mean, that right there would have been the perfect place to enter this trade. Unfortunately, I did not. But I mean, you would have made an easy 10% on your money there, and that would have been pretty awesome. But the reason why I am now bullish on 10x is because we have successfully broken out of this downward channel, and I think it's going to be upwards and onwards for 10x. The CEO keeps releasing almost daily updates. If you follow him on LinkedIn or any of his social media sites, he's very, very good at keeping us up to date, in the loop with any developments. And really, you want to watch for two things as they pertain to 10x. First and foremost, they're trying to obtain their banking license. If that happens, that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for 10x and its pay token, and that's really going to be bullish for the price of 10x. Number two, if 10x ever manages to come to the United States and issue its cards to United States citizens, that would be amazing. That's probably the most positive catalyst we can hope for at this point. So keep your eye out for those in the news, and I mean, we'll exceed all-time highs easily on that kind of news. I'm not sure what's the all-time high, like $6 or something. 650 roughly, and that was back in August of this year. So wow, actually, you know what? I mean, you could pretty much extend that channel. Wow, yeah. Let's draw some more lines here. I don't even know if that's the end of it. Long term. I mean, that's pretty much a descending triangle right there. Yep. Wow. Interesting how perspective will change all of this. But again, we may have broken out. And I mean, none of this even matters if 10x comes to the U.S. or it's able to obtain its banking license. So I know there's a lot of 10x followers in this channel. A lot of people across the world are very bullish on 10x. It just hasn't been good to us in the last couple of months. So we'll continue to cross our fingers and hope. Moving on, Ethereum. Check this out. That's a pretty strong bullish indicator right there. We are in an upward momentum, a positive channel right here, and that has been going on for several weeks now. And what I thought was very interesting about this is how close it has been holding to its 200-day moving average. Right there, 200-day moving average. That's the blue squiggly line you see there. And I mean, here we have the all-time high. We dropped to the recent low as Bitcoin in the overall market crashed there. But since then, it's been pretty much splitting the 200-day moving average on its movements. So it'll go above it and then below it, and the 200-day moving average has stayed right in the middle the entire way. And the movements become smaller and smaller and smaller until here we are. We are almost perfectly in line with the 200-day moving average, and it's all right in the middle of this bullish channel right here. So again, there's a lot of things in development for Ethereum. They are just now starting to roll out the Metropolis upgrade, at least part one of it. Part one is called Byzantium, part two is called Constantinople. Byzantium is actually already live on the testnet, and it will go live on the actual blockchain here very soon. Now that won't necessarily be bullish. It does bring some controversial updates One of them is a, what do they call it? A mining bomb or a difficulty bomb. There you go. It's going to make Ethereum harder to mine. So potentially that could drive away some of the miners. And I mean, usually more mining, more hash power leads to positive price activity with these cryptocurrencies. So potentially that could be bearish, but I don't think so. I mean, Vitalik Buterin, he has probably the highest reputation of all of these crypto developers, blockchain developers, and his number one focus right now is Ethereum. They have a lot of things planned. They have been sticking very closely to their roadmap. This Metropolis upgrade, Byzantium being part of it, that's been projected in the roadmap since back in 2015, and now it's they're finally starting to realize all of it. So that's pretty cool, and I'm very bullish on Ethereum. My largest crypto holdings are Ethereum, and I really like the looks of this bearish channel here and how we're just continuing to move upward along this 200-day moving average. Hopefully we retake the all-time high there in the near term, but I would be fine just continuing like this. Slow and steady can win the race, no problem. Looks like we have no comments so far, no worries. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in. I would love to answer some questions. Viewer interaction always makes this a lot more fun. All right, and then Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a household name, and right now I think it has one of the strongest bullish trends in the market. A lot of this is centered around the upcoming hard fork, Bitcoin Gold. Here at the end of October, I think October 26th it was, the hard fork will take place. I forget the exact block number, but it's going to hard fork on the 26th, and then it will actually go live on the 1st, and I think the airdrop will occur on the 1st. So if you're holding Bitcoin, legacy Bitcoin, on October 26th, when it forks, you will be entitled to the dividend, Bitcoin Gold, whenever that is airdropped on the 1st. And there are lots of things planned for Bitcoin Gold. I mean, probably the most bullish argument for Bitcoin Gold is that it will be used as sort of a test network for Bitcoin. Pretty much all the upgrades that Bitcoin will receive, Bitcoin Gold will also receive, and that will keep it viable and in the runnings to be one of the premier cryptocurrencies moving forward. This is actually an article I wrote not too long ago, and it's posted here on cryptoanswers.net. But there's one thing I wanted to pull from here. Okay, let me just go ahead and read this paragraph to you. I did a lot of research on this to develop this opinion, and I think it is viable. So let me go ahead and read it to you. Bitcoin Gold will maintain a close resemblance to Bitcoin. This is perhaps the most important characteristic of the new currency. SegWit2x is set to go live in November and is surrounded with more and more controversy as that date approaches. Some question whether or not it is still a valid upgrade, and in the event that it ends up being a catastrophe, Bitcoin Gold could end up being its golden parachute. So just to clarify here, that I'm referring to SegWit2x, which there's a lot of negativity toward SegWit2x as of late. But the SegWit2x hard fork and the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, those are two separate things. Bitcoin Gold, that hard fork is occurring on the 26th of October, and then it'll be mid to late November, I believe, for the actual SegWit2x hard fork. So anyways, continuing on. In the event that the SegWit2x hard fork ends up being a catastrophe, Bitcoin Gold could end up being its golden parachute. Bitcoin Gold will be equipped with SegWit, so it will be compatible with the Lightning Network in the future. Bitcoin Gold will have replay protection. That is very important. I'll explain that in a moment. Making it impossible to be double spent or sent involuntarily through a replay attack. It will have the same block mine, same max supply, and a more decentralized proof system. You could almost say it is a better coin with less notoriety, but that could change. If Bitcoin Gold needs to step in to take over for legacy Bitcoin, it will. And actually, that's not the paragraph I wanted to read. Where is it? Let's see here. It may have been in another article where I talked about it, but I've heard people talk about how Bitcoin Gold could actually overtake Bitcoin in the future. Now, keep in mind, there's a very, very small chance that this will happen, but I think the possibility does exist. The proof system for Bitcoin Gold will change. It's going to be, oh my goodness, why am I retarded? It's the same thing as Zcash. Where's it at? Equal-hash, there you go. Bitcoin Gold will utilize equal-hash, and the best thing about it, what makes equal-hash so awesome, is that you can mine currencies that use equal-hash using the GPU. You can mine the currency utilizing the graphics processing unit in the computer that you are watching this video on. I think you might even be able to mine it from a phone that's this powerful enough. Don't quote me on that. I don't mine, so I'm definitely not an expert on the mining aspect of cryptocurrency. But so the whole idea behind it and why Bitcoin Gold wants to move towards equal-hash and GPU mining from ASIC mining is that it's very expensive to get into ASIC mining, right? The miners themselves cost anywhere from I think $5,000 to like $9,000 or $10,000, and the electricity expenditure, it's not a very green process, right? It requires a lot of energy, and a lot of the methods of producing the energy is not green. So proof of work is not really a green process. We're trying to move away from it, and upgrading to equal-hash is a step in that process. Anyways, so instead of having basically a few people pull together massive collections of ASICs that kind of have a lot of say and a lot of sway in the upgrades moving forward, Bitcoin Gold wants to decentralize the mining realm, make it to where everyone takes part in it. Anyone that has a computer is going to be mining Bitcoin Gold. That's their vision anyways, and that will fully decentralize the mining process to the entire community. So anyways, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but it is very important because tying that back into Bitcoin, that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of this positive price action right now. When Bitcoin Gold, when that hard fork does take place, people that hold Bitcoin will obtain Bitcoin Gold for free, as long as you hold the private key, the private Bitcoin key. Bitcoin Gold is expected to carry a pretty decent price. I think it's going to outshine Bitcoin Cash easily. Right now, Bitcoin Cash is like what, 315, 320? Yeah, 314.61. I don't know if that's okay. Yeah, 314. I think Bitcoin Gold will exceed that easily. I could see it settling down at like double Bitcoin Cash easily. So anyways, that's why we're seeing this positive price action. It pretty much started back here mid to late September, and now if you buy into Bitcoin now, you're paying for the Bitcoin Gold premium essentially. You're almost paying for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Gold at the same time. So there's probably going to be a sell-off after the hard fork. I don't know how extreme that will be, but I would not be surprised if it sells off all the way back down to the beginning of the channel here around $3,500. If that does happen, worst case scenario, it revisits the $3,000 low here, recent low anyways, but I do not think it would ever exceed that at this point. I don't even think it'll break 3,500 though. That's probably going to be the low in the foreseeable future. But as of right now, we're in this strong bullish channel, and I think it's going to continue to go up. I would estimate to $5,400, $5,500 before possibly experiencing about a 50% sell-off. Now, my justification for that would be, let me pull up, all right, check out this Bitcoin all-time chart here. I've been talking to a friend of mine, his name is Christian, and he's the one that keyed me in on this. He says we're right in the middle of a pretty powerful Elliott wave here. An Elliott wave, typically there are five waves. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in order for this to close out that trend, we're going to have to exceed the $5,000 mark pretty significantly, taking us to at least $5,400–$5,500. So that's probably where I'm going to start selling my position. I know I said in the past that as we approach 5,000, I'm going to sell, but that was before I took into account all of the positive price pressure that we're seeing out of Bitcoin Gold. So I think this Elliott wave will continue to develop. It will be fully realized, and we'll easily hit 5,500. We might exceed it, but that's probably where I'm going to start liquidating my position. And then on the backside, typically after that cycle completes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there will be possible triple wave sell-off, meaning we'll have A and then B and then C. So we'll likely see a false bull recovery after the initial taper or retracement there, false bull run, and then we'll go ahead and sell off again, probably back down to 3,500. Now that's my long-term projection. There's a lot of things would have to happen to make that actually come to pass. Bitcoin Gold would have to launch flawlessly without a stitch, and then Bitcoin would have to sell off just like I'm projecting here. A lot of things could come into play between now and then, especially this SegWit 2x hard fork. If it's losing more and more support by the day. I think, shoot, do I have this article up? There we go. Bitcoin.org publicly shames SegWit 2x supporters. So the community is starting to come down pretty hard on SegWit 2x here, and I don't know. I think this is going to create a lot of issues for Bitcoin in the medium term. Short term, Bitcoin Gold means positive future for Bitcoin. SegWit 2x means there's going to be a lot of issues, probably right about the time we complete this Elliott wave. So that's how I would recommend trading Bitcoin here in the near/midterm. Keep in mind, I am not an expert by any means. This is just my take. If you're going to make any kind of significant investment, do your own technical analysis, do a ton of research. Don't just take my word for it. Don't take any investor's word for it. Make sure you seek multiple opinions and do your own independent research. That is very important. Anyways, let's move on to some other news, and that is pretty much all we have planned here. We already talked about this article. Let's see what else we have here. So this is our most recent article. It talks about SegWit 2x and how the community is starting to have second thoughts about it. There might end up being another contentious hard fork, and then we would be left with a total of 4 Bitcoin currencies, all claiming the Bitcoin title there. Anyways, here's an article that was written fairly recently about Bitcoin ATMs in the United States. We just topped 1,000 not too long ago, and you know what? Let's get a live update on this. Coin ATM Radar is who supplied this data, and it's pretty interesting. Let's do by country. 1017, 1034. So we wrote this article, on October 2nd. That was 9 days ago. So in 9 days, we installed 37 more Bitcoin ATMs. So several per day. That's pretty rapid growth. And I would say that is bullish for the price of Bitcoin. I think that's why we're going to see the price run up even beyond the all-time high of 5,000. Just be careful of what happens on the backside. Cryptocurrency is unregulated and very volatile, so be sure you know what you're getting into before you do invest. Moving on, let's see what else we have here. Alright, pretty much everything else is pretty much old news. Let's move on to this headline here. Lithuania's central bank publishes new ICO guidance. So here's the major takeaway. It's banning banks and financial institutions from handling or otherwise working with cryptocurrencies, and it released other guidance that hones in on the issue of ICOs. So I don't think they're straight up banning ICOs, but they might in the near future. However, they are banning banks and financial institutions from handling the currencies. So you're not going to be seeing banks and brokers handling crypto transactions in Lithuania in the near future. Really, that's all that means. And Lithuania, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, is not a huge contributor, but still, that it is fairly significant. Moving on, Ukraine proposes a law to completely legalize cryptocurrency transactions. So this law has been drafted, but it has not been formally passed or accepted. So that could happen in the near future. Who knows? Keep in mind, Ukraine, some of these key lawmakers, the people making the decisions, have sizable Bitcoin positions. I think they just released some information. This was probably a month ago at this point. They hold about $45 million worth of Bitcoin. I mean, like I said, that's a pretty sizable position. So I think that they expect big things from Bitcoin. I think they are trying as best they can to legalize it to basically enrich their own monetary position there. But it's going to be good for the broader market. So I hope that does come to pass. Ukraine has been building Bitcoin ATMs at about the same pace that the United States has. They were supposed to have 150 BTMs live by the end of August. I haven't followed up on that. I'm not sure if that actually happened, but they are continuing to build Bitcoin ATMs, and Ukraine is becoming a bigger and bigger player on that front. So that's pretty interesting. This was from like yesterday, I believe. Russia to block access to cryptocurrency exchange websites. This is significant because Russia definitely plays a huge part in the crypto sphere. And what they're trying to do is block it. So if you live in Russia and you go to Google and search for exchanges, you're not going to be able to access the exchanges or do any transactions on the crypto networks. So that's bad. I mean, it's going to alienate a large participating faction from the crypto market. So, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but they're looking into it. They're trying to. And there'll be ways around it. I'm sure you can still use proxies to kind of circumvent those capital controls. However, I mean, it's not going to be easy. I'm sure it will suppress the interaction of, what am I trying to say here? Russians will not be able to interact in the crypto market nearly as easily, so I'm sure we'll see kind of a taper off of participation from Russia there. We already talked about Byzantium. We already talked about that. We already talked about everything. So that's all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did and you're not a subscriber as of yet, make sure you do subscribe. That'll keep you in the loop. I'll be doing more. I wanted to start doing technical analysis maybe once a week or so, especially if there are any significant developments. I think this is probably one of the most beneficial offerings that I can bring to you guys. So I'm going to start doing this more often. If you want in on that, make sure you subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know if this is valuable to you. If you like this, I will continue doing it. If I don't get any feedback, I will continue doing it. If you guys are like, hey, you suck at this, I don't really care what you have to say, then maybe I'll find something else to do. But until then, I'm pretty fired up about crypto, and I really enjoy doing this, bringing you guys content. So anyways, that's all I got. About to roll out. As always, I'll go ahead and wish you all good health and good fortune. Hang in there.